So I like to stare at people. Let me try that again. You know how it's totally normal to people watch? I mean, everybody does. It's not creepy at all. Well, I do that too, being a completely normal, not creepy individual. I also like to people watch. It got me thinking the other day about that awkward moment. You know, when you're just somewhere like a mall or some place where there's a lot of other people, and you catch yourself just kind of people watching. You know, I don't know. People are interesting to watch sometimes. Like you're curious, but what are they gonna do next? Because you really never know. People are crazy, and sometimes very funny, sometimes random, interesting. So it got me thinking about that really, really awkward moment when you're just watching people and someone catches you and they look at you and you kind of lock eyes, right? Well, at that moment, there's a couple of options for what you can do. Now, the first one, which I don't recommend, but maybe I've done it once or twice, is to kind of wink at them and give them a big creepy smile. Yeah, like that. Just to see what the reaction would be because it's sometimes funny. Would not recommend doing this to someone who's, I don't know, let's say large and looks mean or small and looks mean. You don't know. Some of those people who are pretty small can kick your butt, kick my butt. I don't know. I'm not going to find out. Anyway, so I wouldn't suggest doing that unless you can run pretty fast. Another option that's a little more universally accepted is a simple nod, slight smile, just acknowledging, yes, I was looking at you, you were looking at me, it's cool, what's going on, have a nice day, kind of a nod. So that's the one I generally speaking go with. Then there's the other one, which I think is really funny, and that is the quickly look away and pretend like it didn't happen. Well, here's here's what got me thinking about this the other day. I was at a shopping center. It was an outdoor mall, and I was walking down the sidewalk, and this car was driving by, and I looked over, and there was this woman driving the car, and she was looking over at me. Well, I looked at her, and as soon as I saw her, she immediately looked away. She looked up above me. Well, out of curiosity, I looked up. I was like, well, maybe there's something interesting. There wasn't. It was the side of this really, really nondescript apartment building it's apartments above a bunch of shops. And she just happened to look up at the side of a wall. And I realized it's just because she wasn't really looking at that. She was just trying not to look at me because it was weird and she felt like it'd be creepy. Well, it got me thinking that that could put you in even worse situations if that's your reaction. Like you're looking at someone, you're just kind of watching them, and all of a sudden they look at you, and you immediately look away, right? Well, sometimes your eyes might fall on some weird things, which might make them think you're even creepier than if you had just given them a little nod or even smiled. I mean, say you're at a mall, right? And you're people watching, and you're a dude, and you're watching someone, and you're watching some girl walks by, and she looks over and catches you looking at her, and then you look away. Well, what happens when what you turn and look at is actually like Victoria's Secret or a store like that, right? Well, if she happens to look at what you're then looking at, that's gonna be even creepier. I'm just saying, like that's a situation you could definitely find yourself in. And if it does happen, the you quickly want to react and look somewhere else, but then you just look like you're actually nuts because you're looking, you're like, whoa, oh hey, I'm not looking at you, no, oh you, no, wasn't looking at you, no, you're looking at me. This is weird. This is and try to turn it around and make it seem like they're the creepy one. You just look crazy. So I guess the moral of this story, if there is one to be had, if you're people watching, which isn't creepy, I don't think. Hope not. Anyway, if you're people watching and you lock eyes with someone, um, give them a little nod and look away. Acknowledge them in some way and then look away. Don't try to be creepy and smile real big like this or wink. That's a no. Don't try to pretend like you weren't looking at them and just like unless you have it planned out and you're like, "Oh, I wasn't looking at you. I was looking at this cool store over here that's not creepy at all." Don't unless you really plan that out. Don't do that either. Just a little nod, acknowledge, move on with your life. Those are some wise words of advice from me to well, the four of you who are watching this.